Greetings, everyone. My name's Larry Taylor, and I just noticed as I started this video that the lighting in the room makes me look jaundiced. Um, as far as I know, my liver is in good shape, and I'm not really this color. um, so we need to take out some of the yellow somehow. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've been thinking a lot about love. Surely there have been more songs and poems and so forth written about love than any other subject. And I think there's good reason for that. And I think the reason has to do with the fact that at the very core of our beings, we are created to love and to be loved. In fact, I think it's love that gives meaning to our very earthly existence. Dostoevsky was one of the greatest novelists of all time, and one of his greatest novels was Crime and Punishment, written in and set in Russia, specifically Petersburg, Russia in the 19th century. And almost at the end of the book, I won't go into a long explanation as to what the story is about, except to say that the protagonist has in many ways really ruined his life through his choices. And a young woman comes into his life. He's a young man. He's early 20s. And when he meets this young woman, she is only 18. And because of circumstances in her life, mainly due to poverty and such, she is on a self-destructive path. To make a long story short, they get together and eventually his crime is found out. Actually, he confesses to it, and he is sent to Siberia. And she follows him. And for about the first year that he's there for a total of around 8 years. For the first year that he's there as a prisoner in Siberia, he's very standoffish. He's intentionally pushing her away, even though she visits on a regular basis and obviously cares for him very deeply. But then eventually his defensives break down, the dam breaks, the love in her heart finally brings him to the place where he recognizes the love in his heart. And they embrace. And this is right near the end of the book. And this is what Dostoevsky says, speaking of these two young lovers, both with lives that, from a human perspective, look ruined. They wanted to speak, but could not. Tears stood in their eyes. They were both pale and thin, but those sick, pale faces were bright with the dawn of a new future, of a full resurrection into a new life. They were renewed by love. The heart of each held infinite sources of life for the heart of the other. Isn't that a beautiful phrase, beautiful sentence? They were renewed by love. The heart of each held infinite sources of life for the heart of the other. The picture there is of a profound, beneficial, symbiotic relationship. He is drawing life from her. She is drawing life from him. Life that they're not able to give to themselves because they are broken people. But life that they can give to each other because even in their brokenness, they are capable of love. We are all broken people. And yet, we are all capable of love. And when we choose to love, we then have the capacity within our own hearts to provide life and meaning to other people. The New Testament is written in Greek, and in the Greek language there are at least 9 different words that could be translated with the English word love in different contexts. We in English are much more limited. We use the same word to mean very different things. When I say that I love my spouse, I mean something very different than when I say that I love tacos. 9 different words that can be translated love. One of them, and only one of them, is an unhealthy kind of love that we need to stay away from. It's the word mania. It means an obsession, an infatuation, an insanity. It is, in Greek mythology, mania was a sister of rage. It's the stuff of stalkers and schoolboys. And that stalker or that schoolboy might say, I'm in love, but we know that it's not really what we would describe as love. It's an obsession. It's an infatuation. It can even be a very dangerous kind of insanity that leads to harassment, stalking, that kind of thing. So we don't want that. Then, secondly, in the Greek language is the word ludus, L-U-D-U-S, if we were to transliterate it into English. And that's a word that means love as playfulness, as a game. Flirtations that may be innocent or they may be very damaging, depending on the context. Within the context of legitimate, healthy love relationships, I think we need to regain a sense of ludus, playfulness. At least I know I do. We get older and somehow we become more and more self-conscious and more proper in our behavior. And we don't dance and laugh and act in silly ways like we used to. And maybe that's because we were taught not to. I know as a boy I was taught not to. I would be looked at scornfully. And the remark would be, that's being silly. You're just being silly. Like there's something bad about being silly. Well, again, depending on the context, it's obviously not appropriate in a lot of contexts, but love as playfulness is a wonderful, joyous thing. The third Greek word that's translated in the English as love would be eros. We think of it as sexual attraction. We think of it probably as lust because we get the English word erotic from it. But it's not necessarily an animalistic kind of lust that just wants to use another human being for one's own physical pleasure. Eros includes an appreciation of beauty, a physical attractiveness. When I say I love the smell of the roses, that would be eros. When I say I love the grandeur of the Grand Canyon or the Rocky Mountains, or the majesty of a breaching humpbacked whale, I'm using the word love there in those contexts in a way that you could use the Greek word eros. And I think that's really where we begin loving God, others, nature, and ourselves. Hopefully it doesn't end there, but it begins with an appreciation of beauty. An appreciation, and I don't just mean what, in the context of human relations, I don't just mean what a person looks like. I mean the beauty that is that person. The fourth word that is sometimes translated love is the Greek word pragma, P-R-A-G-M-A. It's the opposite of romanticism. It's the stuff of every long-term marriage. Of course, we get the word pragmatic from it. It means sensible, committed love. I think of the song in My Fair Lady, I've grown accustomed to her face. It's a very pragmatic, sensible commitment that carries you through the difficult times. The fifth word in the Greek language, which we would translate love, is the word storge. S-T-O-R-G-E, if you transliterate it, but the E on the end is pronounced like an A-Y, so storge. That's family love, familial bonds. The idea that blood is thicker than water. It's care and concern and connection with parents, children, siblings, grandchildren. It's that love that rises to the occasion in healthy families when there is a need. Then there is the word xenia, X-E-N-I-A, xenia. It means hospitality, love of strangers, guest love, welcoming guests into our homes during non-pandemic times. It means opening our hearts to those around us. The seventh form of love in the Greek language is philia, P-H-I-L-I-A, which could be translated friendship, but there are friends and then there are friends. Philia means a deep-seated, long-lasting, loyal friendship. The kinds of friends that you could say anything to. They would never reject you, never turn their backs on you. Many people go through life without ever having that kind of a friend, even one. You're very, very blessed if you have one or two people in your life that could be described with that word philia. And you're triply blessed if one of those people is your spouse. Related to that word is philatio, Philautia, which is self-love. Philatia, self-love, can be negative, as in the sense of narcissism, or it can be very positive, seeing yourself the way God sees you and having compassion on yourself, accepting that you are loved, that that's your core identity. And as a result of that core identity, being someone who is at peace with who they are. And then the final word, the one with which you are quite familiar, agape. And agape, of course, is the very nature of God. God is agape, we are told in St. John's epistle. Jesus said, "By this shall all people know that you are my disciples, my followers, that you have agape for each other." After his resurrection, Jesus, talking to Peter, said, "Peter, do you love me? Do you agape me?" And he said, I can't rise quite that high. I have philia. I have a deep friendship and loyalty to you. I'm committed to you. But agape, unconditional, self-sacrificing, cruciform love, can't quite honestly say that. Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." Peter, do you have agape for me? Oh, Lord, I know I have philia. Take care of my lambs. Peter, do you have philia for me? Oh, Peter was smitten to the heart. Sad that Jesus, the third time, changed the word and said philia instead of agape. And he said, "Lord, yes, you know all things. You know I have philia. I'm sorry that that's all I can muster." And in essence, Jesus said, "That's okay. Feed my sheep. Take care of my people. Step out with the love that you have. Even though it may not be as strong or as committed or as courageous as you would hope, step out with the love that you do have. And your love will grow. Your love will grow to the place where it is a deep, self-sacrificing, altruistic, unconditional, enemy-forgiving love like Jesus displayed when he was hanging on the cross. As we share love with others, our hearts become a source of life for them. As we receive love from others, their heart becomes a source of life for us. God bless you.